Are you thinking of buying or selling a home in Boston in 2025? Well, whether you're a first-time buyer, a seasoned investor, or a homeowner just curious about the value of your home right now, stick around to the end of this video. We're going to discuss how these current real estate trends are shaping the greater Boston real estate market in 2025 and beyond. Let's start with the good news for you homeowners and potential sellers out there. Home prices in Boston are still on the rise. According to MLS PIN, they are up 4% and then some year over year. And basically, it's a good indicator that the market is healthy, the market is stable. And the 4% number, it's going to vary by neighborhood. This is a very nuanced market. We're seeing things closer to 8 to 10% in some neighborhoods, things a little bit closer to 2% and under in other neighborhoods. So 4% is a pretty big picture of the greater Boston area, but it's a good indicator that people are still confident in Boston's economy, whether you're in the city or in the suburbs. Now let's talk inventory and the limited supply of housing. Basically, inventory still remains tight in Boston. It's a very competitive market out there. Usually in the entry-level price points, anywhere between $600,000 all the way up to $1.2 million even is very competitive. It definitely depends on the neighborhood. It definitely depends on the positioning and the marketing. So really, the move-in ready homes that are well-positioned, well-marketed in high-demand neighborhoods are flying off the shelves still. There is still multiple offers on those. We're still seeing waived home inspections, although that's changing in the near future. I'll post a link to a video I just did about that. But really, there is a lot of competition still for those homes. And once you get into condos and anything up in the mid $1 to $2 million price points, those are sitting for longer right now, especially condos in the city. There's typically more options available for those condos, but generally speaking, still pretty limited, especially for those single families in the suburbs for those first time or entry level buyers. Now I want to talk rentals for just a minute. If you are not buying right now, you are likely renting, and that's not getting any cheaper in the Boston area. The rental market in Boston is also projected to grow by around 4% year over year as well. So why is that? Why is the rental market still insane in Boston? Well, one of the biggest factors right now slowing down purchases is these higher mortgage rates. So with rates having been between 6.5%, 7% at the beginning of this year, that's a big affordability hurdle for many buyers out there. So that has pushed some would-be buyers to just rent for another year, and it increases the demand for rentals in the marketplace. And it also slightly takes the edge off some of the price growth on the sales side. The city's rental vacancy rate is hovering around 1% right now, and demand is especially high in areas like the Seaport, the Back Bay, Beacon Hill, and parts of South Boston as well. So where are we seeing the most activity right now? Well, areas like East Boston, Dorchester, and Roslindale are seeing a lot more buyer interest because they are still relatively affordable and also offer excellent access to the T. So you're not talking about prices like you are in Back Bay, the South End, the Seaport, Beacon Hill, and you're able to get into a house for relatively cheap compared to those neighborhoods. But basically, transit-oriented development is a major driver here. So any homes that are right on top of a subway stop, those are going to be seeing a higher increase in value over a shorter period of time. So what does this market mean for you buyers and sellers out there? How are these trends going to impact you? Let's talk about buyers first. 2025 is sort of shaping up to be a bit of a transition year. We're seeing a little bit more inventory come on the market, a few more options for you buyers out there. Still very heavily a seller's market, but there's a little bit less competition among buyers, a little bit more to choose from. And if you are waiting for rates to get down into the low sixes or high fives, just know that every single other buyer out there is doing that as well. So you're not necessarily going to be saving any money if prices are just going to skyrocket as buyers pour into the market, seeing these lower interest rates. And I would say generally, you want to just be prepared for this market. I think what I see every single day, whether it's at open houses or just in conversations among buyers, everyone's doing the same thing. They're going on Zillow, they're casually window shopping, they're not engaging an agent or a team of their transaction team early. So they're really not as prepared as they probably should be for the nuances of this market. So my advice would be engage your team early. So my first thing that I tell buyers after I sit down with them, do a strategy session, is let's start talking to a lender. Let's see what your financial situation is. Let's see what your goals are, and let's see if they have a package that's going to work for you. And these lenders should be responsive. You should be able to communicate with them pretty consistently. They should be picking up their phones on the weekends, able to answer any questions, get you updated pre-approval letters when you need them, give you the updated monthly payments based on different purchase prices at different interest rates. They should be responsive. The other thing that they should be doing is, as soon as we submit an offer, as soon as our transaction team submits an offer, our lender partners are calling those listing agents, giving them peace of mind, letting them know we have rock star buyers that they're working with, because most other agents, most other lenders are not doing this, and it just makes us look 1,000 times better in the eyes of the listing agent and the eyes of those sellers. So we make sure that the offer process looks insanely good for those sellers and listing agents, because we want to immediately be put at the top of the pile of potential offers to accept, even if our purchase price isn't the highest purchase price. On top of that, you want to just know exactly what your criteria is for your home search. And if you're still working that out, I still think it makes sense to get in touch with a real estate agent to just help guide you along that early search process. Sit down with them, have a strategy session. If you're in the Boston area, you can feel free to call us. And even if you're not, we'll connect you with a local agent in your market that is going to sit down, figure out exactly what it is you're looking for. They'll be able to keep their eyes open off market and potentially get you into something without necessarily having to compete with a million other buyers. So basically, if you're a buyer in this market, just engage your team early. And I would be very cautious about working with those friends of the family or your cousin who does real estate on the side. This is a nuanced market where it's going to be in your best interest to engage an agent who does this full-time, is in the weeds every single day, is talking to other agents, is talking to buyers, is talking to sellers, can potentially get your hands on something off market where you're not having to compete. You want someone that's going to be able to properly set expectations. There's been a million changes in the real estate world just in the last 18 months or so, whether it's the commission changes, the Zillow listing limitation changes, the upcoming inspection changes. You want someone that knows what all of these things are going to do to you as a home buyer. So make sure you're engaging a qualified agent. Make sure they sit down with you, have a full strategy session, and you're not just having a 2-minute conversation with someone at an open house and saying, yeah, keep your eyes open for a 3-bedroom that's $750,000 for me. They are getting paid a lot of money to handle these transactions like professionals, handle these home searches like professionals. So just make sure you're in good hands. So what does this market mean for you home sellers out there? Well, this is still a seller's market. There's still not a lot of inventory out there. There are still a lot of buyers out there keeping their eyes open, but they are being very cautious right now. So my advice would be, do not use those part-time agents. You want an agent in this market that has a comprehensive marketing strategy, is going to actually strategically put your property in front of the most possible people and market your property in a way that's going to not just draw the highest offer, but draw the strongest offer that's most likely to get you to the closing table and closer to your goals in the next chapter and wherever you want to move on with your life after selling that home. This is probably not a market where you want to start rolling the dice as a for sale by owner, or just accepting an offer based on the fact that there's not going to be a buyer's agent involved. This is a market where everyone's being a little bit careful. You want to make sure that there is a real estate agent on the seller side of the transaction and a real estate agent on the buyer side of the transaction, that both view the transaction as a collaboration, but also are making sure they're properly setting expectations for each of their clients. That way you are less likely to get involved in a transaction that's just going to fall apart because there aren't expectations being set on one side or another, and it's just going to get you to your goals of selling your house, getting to the closing table. Now, I'm a little biased here as a Compass agent, but we've been using a 3-tiered strategy for marketing homes with great success. And it basically allows our sellers to not just have a great understanding of a positioning strategy through a comparative market analysis, but also they can do a bit of a test run of the market and put the listing in front of a lot of real estate agents, a lot of buyers without actually acquiring any days on market. And then we can get some early feedback about the positioning strategy of the house before we actually roll the property out there to the public and launch it on the MLS. So if you have questions about that, what that marketing strategy looks like, feel free to connect with our team. That just sounds like it's 2 tiers, but we have a very thorough, very comprehensive, multi-tiered marketing approach. So what we do is just hear out our sellers, what they want to do, and try to find a strategy that best suits their goals. So if you have any questions about that, definitely feel free to reach out to our team. If you're in the greater Boston area, I'm sure we can help you directly. If you're outside the greater Boston area, our team has an incredible network of agents nationwide who we work with every single day, every single week, exchanging tips, tricks, best practices, and making sure we're always able to deliver for our clients. So if you need to be connected to an agent in your market, also feel free to use us as your real estate ambassadors anywhere in the United States. Reach out at that number below. And thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hopefully it helped you better understand the current Boston real estate market. Take care, guys. Talk to you soon.